Welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig here in Star Shop Studio out of Times Square. And we are interviewing just one of my dearest friends. He is the president of Mouth Digital and Public Relations. And he is an author now. And we are so excited for Get Out of Your Own Way Guide to Life. And I highly recommend that you get it. We will have links so everybody can read this because it's really fabulous. It's down to earth with really great advice. And actually, if I didn't know, I would say, come on, were you a therapist? I'm serious.
Well, my dream is to be a therapist like you. By the way, to your Facebook audience, honestly, because it's in the book, you are one of the most thoughtful people I know. This woman, in any situation, has always brought your best game. I really appreciate it.
Well, I have to say, one of the lovely aspects of our business when we get it right is you meet friends in the business. And we met, you were vice president of a division of Simon & Schuster for PR for my first book, Till Death Do Us Part. And when we met, don't you think that we were instantaneous friends?
We were married.
I was like, we're married.
We were married.
I know, and then we've been really good, supportive friends ever since. But I have to say that is not enough for me to support a book or to get behind it. Because especially when something enters into the psychological realm, you know, I have high standards.
Absolutely.
And so this book meets those standards. So why don't you tell me a little bit, because you open up in the book and you talk about your life story.
Right.
And how this motivated you to write this very book.
Right. Well, first I want to tell the audience that the mission for writing this book is to beg everyone to make at least one dream come true in their life. I mean, I've had this really quirky backstory. I had a dream of being like a Tina Turner type in London, and I just made a demo tape here in the 1980s. I sent it off, and I landed there. I saved up money from waiting on tables, and then within 3 or 4 months, it's so excited. It's
yes.
Within 3 or 4 months, I was discovered by this huge rock star named Gary Newman.
And we have some pictures of Justin, who at that point was Larry Loeber. Now, was Larry your real first name?
My first name is Lawrence Justin Loeber. Lawrence Justin Loeber. My mother wanted me to go to Lawrenceville, and all I wanted to do was go to a diner. I mean, come on now. I was a Jersey boy.
And what I pointed out to Justin was that the color of this background is the same as your book.
That's
and
right.
You said that was deliberate.
Yes, because I read somewhere that yellow and red is a power color scheme for McDonald's and Burger King. And when I went over to England, and I thought, who gives a hoot about me? I figured, make this cover as wacky as it is so that it sticks out of the slush pile. And sure enough, this guy, Mike Dickens from the BBC radio, picked it up, Radio 1, and it started getting played on the radio. I was opening for Gary Newman. I was this close from being like Boy George or George Michael, and then the whole thing fell flat on its face.
Are we talking shivers up your spine?
We're talking shivers up my spine, baby.
I have to say, so we've been friends for a really long time.
Absolutely.
And I almost feel like a failed friend because it's the first time that I saw your video last night because I didn't know how to find it.
There's a motive to that.
Wait, I loved it. I want to download it on my iTunes. It was so good. It was catchy and fun and happy. And I will have it on my Facebook for people to see.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Touch me, baby. Touch me, baby. Yeah.
You always sing your name, but I never saw that
going on.
So you come back and
I come back at 33 without a college degree, sitting on my parents' couch and figuring, what the hell am I going to do? I did not have a strategy. In the 1980s, I did not realize that there was internships, people inspiring others, and I just looked up at the sky and I said, what am I going to do? So a friend called me. She said, there's a temp position at Random House. And I thought, whose house is Random? I wasn't a big book reader. And I said, sure, I'll go. I'll open up the possibilities. And I went there, and the first thing I noticed was that the people were much nicer in publishing than they were in music. The music people are snakes.
Business.
Actually, I got 4 record labels after that. One with higher and higher people, one worse than the other.
Wow.
It was my mom, may she rest in peace, said to me, "I'm so sorry for bringing you up as a nice person," because I was literally being chewed up and spit out. But I went into publishing and I looked around, and publishing people that were my competition were 12 years younger than me.
Wow.
So I had to say to myself, if you like this, how are you going to rise up? And it was because of a work ethic. And without that college degree, I wanted to work harder, that in about 12 years, I went from the temp to a senior vice president, overseeing a division of HarperCollins.
And you were their star.
Well,
I was
twinkle,
so
twinkle,
thrilled
let me
to
tell
have
you,
you.
sister.
I mean, yeah.
I got to tell you, though.
You got me into everything.
You know what? I have to tell you that I was given an opportunity, and what I want to tell the audience out there is, if a washed up recording artist without a college degree can go from a temp to a senior vice president, anybody can do it. We are all being shepherded right now like little sheep, watching a smartphone, and all we're doing is doing this. We're getting TextNet. We are in a 911 emergency here. Communication is the end all and be all for everything in this world, and none of us know how to communicate anymore.
What I really like about your book is that you speak to all age groups. So you're not only speaking to the millennials about how they need to relate interpersonally and how to dress, let's say, for a job interview, but also to the Gen Xers and the baby boomers who might have given up on themselves.
Right.
And you say, hey, this is for everybody. Start living your dream. Don't waste yourself on the sidelines of life.
Time ticks.
Yeah.
Time is nobody's friend. You could be a boomer here, you could be a millennial here. We're all on this conveyor belt that goes really fast. The millennials feel like they've got social skills because they know how to manipulate social media, and the boomers feel like they're all washed up. So I say there are 2 groups of people and all the others in between that need to take back their life. We are living in America, Dr. Robbie. We used to be the land of the free and the brave. In the 70s, a fantastic era, I might add, was a place where they didn't tell you that you needed 140 characters in which to speak. We're all being told what to do, and now it's time, hopefully with this book, to inspire everybody to take back their life.
And also, you give a quiz in this book to help people identify who they are, and I imagine how to move forward.
Right.
That's a very clever idea. Do you think that people have a hard time identifying how they need to get from one place to another, or do you feel that they just give up on themselves?
You know what? Our mind plays some tricks. If we sit in our mind and we think, well, I'm going to be a great chef, but I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it Christmas. No, I want to go on a diet, I'll do it in the summer. All of a sudden, years and years.
Hey, stop telling my secrets.
Well, I know you're a good cook, but maybe not for the CIA, but that's another
For
story.
people who like the idea of death, maybe.
No, but honestly, our lives are a contract with ourselves, really. At the end of it, do you want to be known as a slacker who ate bonbons, or do you want to be known as a person that didn't have a college degree that went on to help someone find a cure for cancer?
I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be able to go to dinner with you or have drinks with you and have you talk to me in this direct, funny, and entertaining way. But when I was reading this book, you will get a sense of Justin and who he is. And what I like is that you're not like too soft. You're very confrontational.
It's boot camp.
Yeah.
Because nobody has time to sit around and dream anymore. I want you to make a pact with yourself to make a dream come true, because you don't get any brownie points at 80 sitting in a rocking chair and wondering what if. If you hate your job and you think, you know what, I really want to be a nurse, go and take some night classes.
Right.
Do something, just do it, because Again, time ticks. Time is no one's friend. And the only one that you're going to disappoint is yourself.
So one of the things that you write in here, which I underlined because I just loved it, was everyone can afford a ticket to their own award-winning performance of a lifetime.
That's
and
true.
you talk about, too, what successful people do differently to get ahead. What do they do differently from the rest of us?
I think, well, I'm very honored to be able to rep people in PR.
Yeah.
And when you rep someone, you have to step into their definition of normal. You cannot bring yourself to the table. You can bring your expertise, but when you step into your client's world, you have to understand how they communicate. And what I found with anyone who's successful is that they envelop, they can smell and they can taste success. And it's a very infectious feeling. I think the one reason why I actually went over to England was I was surrounded by a lot of people who found comfort in failure. And when I saw the Stray Cats on MTV and they said, I couldn't get arrested in New York, but I went over to London and I made something of myself, I thought, well, if they can do it, so can I. So the bottom line for everybody is don't worry about the Joneses.
Yeah.
It's all the white noise that you have to tune out. You might love your mom, you might love your friend, you might love your husband, but if they don't have your best interests, or if they don't have the capacity to understanding your dream, you have to bypass them and you have to, like a cutter, an ice cutter, go right through it. Because again, it's your life. What do you want to be known at the end of your life? What is going to be on your epitaph? You, Robi Ludwig, if God forbid you pass tomorrow, the
Bad cook.
Nope, America's most thoughtful person.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
I
Hands
adore
down.
you. But the studies really do show what you're talking about in this book, that people would rather try something and have it maybe not go all the way and say, at least I tried it, I did it, I learned from it, than the what ifs. The what ifs can really turn a good person into a bitter person.
Absolutely. You just don't want to live a life of regrets. One of the reasons why I wrote this book is a 30-something, and you know what's mind-boggling to me is that we call 30-somethings now kids.
Yeah.
And in the old days, they were dead by the time. It wasn't George
That
Washington.
was midlife crisis during passages. Yeah,
Absolutely.
seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some 30-something young man sashayed into my office with cut-off jeans, flip-flops, and one earbud, and he had his cell phone on the desk. He was here for a job interview for an account executive.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, why are you here? I want to be in architecture PR. And we don't do architecture PR. So I thought to myself, this man is disconnected. And then I thought to myself, where were his parents? Speak English, put the cell phone down, look up, look out, prepare. It doesn't take a lot if you're going for a job interview to look at a company's website, to have some talking points. If a ballet company can rehearse for their big show, a person going for a job should do the same thing.
Absolutely. Do you think that's a trend that's happening? That's a disturbing trend.
Sadly,
if it is.
I was seeing one after another. I have millennials and had millennials that didn't know how to address an envelope. They don't know how to write. And I'm thinking, if the lights go out, if there's a power failure,
Right.
how are a group, hundreds of thousands of people, going to survive? We are all turning into passengers on a ship instead of the pilots of our lives.
Now, do you think technology is making things worse for us? Do you think it's helping certain people? I mean, there are things about technology I really like. I mean, I like LinkedIn. It can connect us with people we may not be connected with otherwise. But there is something about the phone where I can find myself getting lost in this black hole of jewelry sites.
Well, let's be honest. Let's really be honest. If it wasn't for electronics, we would not be here. If it wasn't for television, we wouldn't be inspired. Movies, it's all electronics. But what I really have come to an unpopular conclusion is it's not about convenience, it's about companies selling us retail. Do we really need another phone? do we really have to buy a whole new set of accessories to fit that phone? Every time I buy a new phone, it takes 3 or 4 days to configure. If I had a t-shirt, configuration is a bitch, I'm sure it would sell out.
I think that could be your next book. I love it.
Configuration is a bitch, baby.
But what about Facebook? You know, where people compare themselves. When you talk about sitting on the sidelines of life, you know, people look often to Facebook and they'll say, well, this person's doing X, Y, Z. I don't know if it stops us, if it helps us.
I think it's a great tool if you want to look into a moment of somebody's life. But if you have an urge to snap a picture every time you have, you know, hollandaise sauce with French fries and you need to post it, I think it's turning into a sickness because everybody wants to be now a Kardashian. Everybody wants to be a Shark Tanker. You don't have to be snappy in order to be relevant. You can be relevant by being a quiet giant. Not everybody has a capacity to being out in the open.
So I just want to say too, I want to just read some of the chapters in your book because I think that they're amazing. Dream big, make a good first impression, find the perfection in imperfection, which I really love. Know your stuff, own the power of thoughtfulness, learn how to communicate, reboot, work on your work ethic, shift gears, and rule your planet, which I love.
Well, let me just say one thing. If we have a president that's Twitter is being hacked, if we have someone in a high place that doesn't understand autocorrect, what does that tell the rest of us? Even our president is being a victim of a retail device. And what I'm saying is, turn it off. Go to dinner with your family, look up and out at them and say something nice to them.
Yeah.
That's the big takeaway. Besides making a dream come true, really learn how to connect the old school way, which is called your mouth. Use your mouth.
Your mouth and your eyes. Now, we do something called Keeping It Real. So I'm going to ask you, we're going to keep it real. Right, I know. I think I have to, right.
I'm using too many hands.
This is the real thing. Okay.
It's like a Richard Simmons video.
Okay, in one sentence, how would you sum up the internet?
Confusing.
Okay. What would the world be like if it was filled with mini versions of you, both female and male?
Next question. A lot of fun.
Okay, I agree. Who would play you in a movie about your life?
Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, I like
45,000 years ago.
Okay. If you could be invisible, what would you do?
I would be cologne.
Sifting
through the air and with pheromones. So that when someone walked by, they go, what is that?
Yes, create love and peace.
Love and peace and harmony.
It. In 40 years, what do you think people will be nostalgic for?
Real air, real conversation, and connection.
I agree. Well, we are thrilled to have you as part of Talking Live. Go to my website and we will have a place where you can click and learn where to buy Justin's book, Get Out of Your Own Way, Guide to Life. And we'll also have that fun music video. Wow. We could show some vintage pictures of Larry, right?
You know
Her alter ego.
Baby.
And thanks again for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks for having me.